Hi, I'm DJ Kessinger, and I'm the Dungeon Master in The Right Thing. Thanks for listening to the Iron Archives. Remember, nobody knows what will happen.
Last time on The Right Thing, with three bandits in tow, the gang was traveling to Corico. Beldir engages in a little harmless fun at the behest of Frostbane and casts grease in front of Whifford's tent. Whifford is one of the few known survivors of such spell, but he didn't take it well. Gev and Gev and Karen took first watch. Aaron, Frostbane, and Karen took second watch, and Beldir and Dobe took the third watch that night. All was well. They approached Scorico. They stayed another night outside of town, and they turned in the surviving bandits when they went to King Nayrock, where they were asked their purpose. They received little information regarding the orcs, and a moray named Scale of Coden, a diplomat, to Corico from Brace Havens, uh, and Varen Meckham. Uh, they provided some interesting interaction through the discussion. Scale of Coden, what? Kurashad did not like the idea of outsiders helping. He seemed to be somewhat of a town soothsayer. And as they were going to make their plans, they received some help from the Mare Scale of Coden, who talked to them about some events that seemed to indicate that there was a traitor in the midst. The working plan that they developed as they met at the saloon called Flotilla's Finest is that they would try to speak with Pasha, tell them of their suspicions of a traitor in the midst, and see if they might be able to flush them out. They're also going to split the party, as they always will, and probably should not, by going to the Grove Keeper and Shada, named Ashada, to see what they might learn about the orcs there. That catches us up to tonight.
All right, very good. So, you all have agreed among yourselves to spend some time investigating Corico, trying to find what you can as far as information goes. We have now entered downtime on the second day of you being in Corico. What would you like to do?
Dobe is hesitant to jump headfirst into anything. He's trying to tend to his wounds, not feeling great, but he is being mindful of Alifair, and if he's passing through the town in support of anyone, he's going to perhaps look for little trinkets or something to bring back for her.
Okay. As you walk through the town, you see that compared to most cities, there definitely is not a surplus of traders. There aren't entire stores dedicated to the selling of really anything, just stalls. And even they don't have a lot of luxury goods, mostly more necessities that the tribe would be interested in. That being said, you do look through some of these things, and at one point you notice that a local Mindrari tribesman with red face paint all over is haggling with a flotilla trader, and he's attempting to trade this handmade carved necklace for some food.
The flotilla trader is trying to trade the necklace to get food from the Mandrari.
Other way around.
Other way around. Sorry. Um, okay. And as I listen, does it seem like the Mandrari wants to make the trade?
The Mandrari is definitely wanting to make the trade. The elf on the other side of the stand is a little less sure about it. He doesn't seem to think it might be worth the meat that he's selling.
Okay. And what price would you like for this meat?
The elf looks over at you, disturbed from the conversation. Well, I don't know. I don't think a necklace like this is going to be worth it back at the haven, though. Maybe some furs or something would make a better trade.
How about some coppers?
Well, we'd be talking more along the lines of silvers, he says. Now you have his full
How much
attention.
silver for this?
3 silver.
And Dobe produces 3 silver and looks at the Mandrari and says, I will give you 3 silver for this necklace.
The Mandrari looks confused for a moment before taking your meaning. Thank you, he says as he reaches out the necklace.
Say, it is yours to do as you wish.
He takes the 3 silver coins roughly. He looks at them curiously for a moment before placing them down on the stand and looking at the elf in anticipation. The elf smirks for a moment, wraps up the steak, and gives it to the Mandrari. He smiles. Thank you, friend, before moving off.
Dobe's going to when he returns, he's going to actually tuck that necklace away and try to save it for an opportune time.
Okay. Anything else going on, guys?
So, is the town under siege, or are there just random raiding parties?
There are just random raiding parties, and none of them have attacked the town. They have attacked nearby villages.
Okay. Yeah, Hamish is just gonna spend some time in the wood. Is he allowed to go to the is it the Ancient Wood? Grove of the Noble Tree?
The Grove of the Noble Tree, which is just outside of the main part of the camp. He is allowed to go there, but you notice that this is not like most woods. There is certainly some normal woods just a few hundred yards away from Corico. But this grove is much closer, with a spiral pattern matching the spiral pattern of the town. You could go there, but it is pretty crowded, and if you're looking for solitude, you're not going to find it there.
Okay. So it's like a manicured European garden type thing.
It's very much manicured.
Or park, I guess.
Yes, just with trees, and you notice that there's one particularly large Utala tree right in the middle. Several religious-looking Mindrari exit and enter.
Okay. I'll cautiously approach one of them. Excuse me, friend.
A soldier who is just about to enter the grove looks at you. Yes, Wingless. How may I help you?
This grove, it is a religious place for your people?
This is the grove of the noble tree. Those who are familiar with our customs know the kingdom of trees. We worship here, not like your city gods, he says.
I see. And so is it the trees that you revere? Or is it the earth that we stand on?
He looks a bit uncomfortable for a moment before finally relaxing, and he places his spear down and sort of leans on it for a moment. It is the trees. The trees are as much human as you or I. They feel, they think, they have their own societies. And among those societies, there are gods among them. Those are the noble trees, he says, and he points to the much larger tree that you can still see from the center, even being this close to the grove. And that is one of them.
Do they speak to you? Do they guide you?
Not to me, but there are a few of us who have learned to speak to the trees.
Would it be appropriate for me to approach the tree?
If you are approved of by the keeper.
Oh, I see. Where is this keeper?
Well, she'll be within the grove. You'll have no problem approaching the grove through most of the spiral. She will stop you before the most sacred place.
I see. Well, thank you. And Hamish will begin to make his way into the grove towards the center.
The Mindrari lifts up his spear and continues in the same way. It appears there are a few pilgrims from the city as you continue the spiral. Eventually, the crowd becomes a line. Not particularly slow-moving, but it is a line. You stand in the line waiting for a while and notice that one or two at a time will go back the way they came out. Eventually,
And are they all Mindrari?
yes, they're all Mindrari. You've noticed that most of these people are the red face-painted soldiers of Koriko. Occasionally, their families might be with them, but most of them are just the soldiers. Eventually, the line gets to a point where you're about one turn away from looking past the wall of trees towards the great noble tree. And before that, you can see that there is a single Mindrari woman. She is dressed in all sorts of primitive jewelry. Her hair is done in such a way that beads are woven through it. But she isn't imposing either, and she has a welcoming face as eventually you get to her in the line. She gives you you a quick bow. Welcome, foreigner. My name is Ashada. Do you seek the wisdom of the noble tree?
Thank you, Ashada. Yes, I seek the wisdom of the noble tree.
Her perfectly round eyes look you up and down for a moment. And what use does a wingless foreigner have for the noble tree?
I stand apart from most of the wingless in that I spend most of my time in away from the towns, in the wilderness, forest, and fields. My kinship is mainly with the beasts and critters, but I also revere and respect the wisdom of the trees themselves. The mother speaks to me and speaks to us all in different ways, and I wonder if there's something to be learned here at the Noble Tree.
Oh, it is hardly unusual, but it seems you do have a pure heart for this. Go ahead and make a persuasion check, Hamish.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and say the roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hamish rolled a 12.
She thinks for a moment. I see no reason, and you will be respectful, yes?
Of course.
Very well. You may speak to the tree. She steps aside and allows you into the innermost part of the spiral.
Thank you, Keeper. And Hamish will very solemnly walk into the inner spiral.
You walk into the inner spiral. You can see that the shade of the trees has grown greater and greater. And even though it's midday at this point, between the overarching shade of this great white utala and the other lesser trees around, it is almost as if it is twilight inside. It is pleasantly cool with an occasional breeze rustling the leaves. You can see that the innermost part is filled with fireflies. Even though it's midday, they shine brighter than normal fireflies, and you can see them instantly. And there isn't a single moment where the entire inner part of the grove is without one of these. Surrounding the tree, closest to you are some of the parishioners that you've already seen in the line. Soldiers mostly on their knees, hands stretched outward towards the tree, muttering small prayers. On the far side of the tree, you see others in more religious regalia. There are the more simple, beaded-haired ones, dressed similarly to Asha, although slightly more humbly dressed as well. And then there are others, too, in fact, that are dressed nothing like that. They have face paint like the soldiers, but it's not a red face paint. It is a white face paint. And they are significantly older, both of them being pretty old women, whereas most of the other women who are here, and by the way, all the ones on the far side of the tree are women. Most of them are young, although they go up to middle age, and one is a little bit older, but these two are older than all the rest. You recall the description of the witch doctor that the rest of the party gave to you upon their return from the center court. And you remember that they had she had white face paint and a male pattern baldness to her. Well, sure enough, these both have white face paint, and one of them has male pattern baldness.
Okay. All right. Hamish is going to approach the tree no closer than where the soldiers would be. But he's going to stand apart from where they are, and he's going to assume the same position that they're in the supplication, and he is going to begin to mutter a small prayer and ritual cast detect magic.
Interesting.
Is there a lot of movement in the way that that the soldiers worship? Or are they just
Other than muttering, there doesn't seem to be much. It's not so rigid and unforgiving that they aren't able to occasionally swat a fly near them or scratch themselves, but the default position does seem to be like that.
okay? So it seems more like a prayer on your knees or meditation or something like that.
Yes, something like that.
Okay. And he will stay there for quite a while.
All right. As you begin to cast detect magic, you wait for a moment and allow the magic to identify itself to you. Give me just one moment, please.
Okay. And I am close enough to get the tree in the circle, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The circle is probably about 60 feet in diameter.
Okay.
But you're about halfway in between the edge of the rest and of the trees and the tree itself, as is the rest of the circle. So you are within 30 feet of both the tree itself and the everybody who's worshiping the tree. All right. As for the things that light up, the tree itself lights up as being magical. And the witch doctors on the other side light up as being magical.
Do they light up, or is it something on them that lights up?
They light up themselves. Yeah, they light up themselves.
Okay. All right. So throughout the ritual, Hamish will be praying, to Mother Mindria, leaving his consciousness open to accept any sort of information that that may be brought to him through epiphany or revelation, and he'll simply chant, Mother Mindria, speak to me if you will, show me these new ways, and if there's anything for me to learn here, please assist me. And he will pray there for a long time.
Okay. Go ahead and make a religion check.
There it is. Hamish rolled a natural 20 for a 21.
Very good. So, as you continue praying, you feel the wind change. You hear the rustling of the leaves, as it has always been, but it seems to be coming particularly loud from the center Utala tree. With your eyes closed, you can still almost see it with how prevalent this sound is to you at the moment. The limbs and the branches begin to creak under it. And it is almost as if it is trying to speak to you. You feel a warmth coming down to you from this noble tree. And then the wind changes. Now, instead from coming up above from the tree, it comes from the opposite side of the tree where the witch doctors are. And it is now noticeably colder. The creaking of the tree now turns to more of a groaning.
Okay, so was the sensation that the energy was coming towards me but got redirected to them?
No, that the energy was coming towards you from the tree, and then there was a different energy coming towards you from the doctors.
Okay. And I don't understand any of it. It doesn't seem, does it seem of the same nature as what I would get, in my druid-based magic?
It seems that there are similarities, and you definitely felt similar ways before, but there's also some unique ways to it too.
Okay.
Indeed, you've never focused on a tree quite like this one before. As this is happening, you hear a shriek from the other side. You open your eyes to see that one of the witch doctors with male pyre and baldness has opened her eyes. Her eyes not having pupils or corneas, though, just being a glazed over milky white. And yet you still feel she's looking straight at you, head tilted. Her lips curl backward to reveal that the front 4 teeth have been knocked out. Asha has gone too far now, allowing a wingless into this sort of place. That fool! Where is she? Where's the one who let you in here, wingless?
I mean, no disrespect. I too revere nature and the power of these ancient trees, and I simply wanted to experience it for myself.
She spits a gray bit of spit in front of her. This cannot be tolerated. And she storms out, followed by the other doctor as well.
Did they leave, like, the inner circle?
They left the inner circle, and and it seems they're going to leave the entire grove.
Okay. If I see them leave the circle, then I am going to, Hamish is going to resume his meditation and attempt to reconnect with the tree.
All right.
And I will stay there into the evening.
Okay. So, for the action of going into the grove to attempt to meditate and pray with the tree. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the inspiration pool.
Well, thank you. That's not why I did it.
So, patrons, if you like that, you can give him inspiration. I almost said perspiration. That'd be an interesting Patreon reward.
And so the fireflies, do they seem like natural fireflies that would be, common in this area?
They seem like natural fireflies, but they don't seem common in this area. You've never seen a species like this before.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll stay there until at least if they don't kick me out, I'll stay there till the sun goes down.
Okay.
And once the moon rises, then I'll continue to see if any change happens. And once I feel satisfied that my meditation is complete, I will get up and go back to wherever we're staying.
All right. As the noon turns into afternoon, the sun goes down. Eventually, you feel a tap on your shoulder. You turn around to see Asha, the woman who initially let you in. I'm quite sorry to disturb your meditations and your prayers, but I'm afraid that the grove is going into a period where only grove keepers are allowed.
I see. Well, thank you. This was a wonderful experience. I can see why your people revere these trees so. For a moment, I almost felt like the tree was trying to tell me something. If only I had more time, perhaps it would choose to speak to me again.
Well, you may come back tomorrow morning. There's nothing forbidding that.
Hamish will stand up and bow respectfully to the keeper and slowly and solemnly walk out of the grove.
All right. I bet you go out of the grove and walk a few hundred yards back to the camp, where the now one cart and several tent camp with a roaring campfire going on in the middle. Anybody wanting to do anything else with their downtime?
Beldir has just been asking the crew of the Valete, as well as the people around them, their capabilities and what they feel like they could offer in any ways they can, in terms of, combat prowess and stuff along that lines.
They expressed to you that you recall that the 4 members of the Violeteer, besides the 6 of you that have come along, were Erin, Boudica, Whifford, and Alifair. Among them, Alifair, you reckon probably isn't the greatest in combat. She might be able to hold a sword, but she would be lucky to get a solid swing in. The other 3 do seem to be pretty high prowess, though. You've already seen for yourself that Whifford is a wizard of pretty high capabilities. You think back to your own history and wonder how well of a match you two would have made during your prime. Boudica is a warrior trained in the more martial arts style, whereas Erin is trained in a more traditional style, and you see that their armor choices reflect that.
Okay, awesome. That's mainly all Beldir is going to be doing besides chilling at camp and idly chatting.
All right. Anybody else?
Would this be the time we were going to see if Pasha might give some misdirection to find out if we can flush out the spy, or was that going to be after downtime?
No, you can do that during downtime. That's fine.
Okay.
By the way,
Yeah.
that actually that brought up a mistake I'd made earlier. The name of the head grove keeper in the Grove of the Noble Tree was actually Ashada, not just Asha. My apologies.
Okay, but Pasha was in charge of the guards, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah, that was him.
Okay. Yeah, sorry if I said Asha earlier. I actually had Ashada. You had her. You said it last week.
Okay. It was probably me hearing you say Pasha and making the mistake, so it was probably my mistake.
Okay. No, my mistake. Let me own it. Okay. So I don't know that Dobe would initiate that, but in the event that that group would go, Dobe would come along.
You've never seen Erin Boudicca Whifford attempt to make that yet. That being said, anybody could really initiate that sort of thing.
Can you hear this in the background, by the way?
What's that?
Can you hear the music in the background?
Nope.
Okay.
Anybody going with Dobe to speak to Pasha?
Beldir will join.
Hamish is going to stay apart and reflect on today's. I'm too tired to think straight. Anyway, reflect on today.
Okay. Anybody else?
And again, with Dobe nursing his wounds, he's probably just more hanging around camp. And if someone doesn't initiate that, he'd probably wait a few days, several days to do it.
I'm back.
Sure. Beldir, do you initiate that?
Sure. What
All right.
am I initiating?
Just going to talk to Pasha.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Right now, Alistair is a little more Dobe's fighting speed, so he might be, sparring with her or something. But that's about it.
As a matter of fact, before we get to that part, at the end of the second day that you're there, as you're around the campfire, you wait, and she offers to maintain some of your weapons. She tells you that she's never really done anything with a warhammer before. She knows you probably shouldn't sharpen it, but she'll at least try to polish it.
That'd be sick. A sharpened warhammer.
That's an axe.
No, if it's like a point.
Is she talking about my maul?
I think I've
Yes.
heard about a sharpened warhammer. I think that happened in that big Avengers movie with the guy who does the snap?
Anyway, yes, she is talking about the mall.
Okay. Yeah. Dobes says, it is not likely you could hurt this. Go ahead and clean it up. Thank you.
She goes by the fire and begins to polish it. After some time, she returns back with it. The polishing, to you as a Tyranid, seems just as good as the absolute best polishing possible. To anyone else who has witnessed it, however, it's okay. It's okay. It definitely could be shinier, but it seems like it was an okay job. All right, that ought to do it. I don't know if I don't know if it actually matters to you, but I think I did a good job.
Thanks. That would be an awful lot of work for you, considering the abuse this has taken over the years. Oh, it looks just fantastic. Alafia, one moment. And he goes through his the folds of his belt and pulls out that necklace and says, I like the shape of this and was hoping it might be some colors and design you might like. Is it acceptable to you?
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the help you're offering on this trip. And he holds it out, offering to put it on her.
She accepts, and you attach it. It's a small wooden necklace around, based off a single string. It is definitely pretty, but at the same time, it's not. It does have a fierceness to it as it completes a look. She looks a little more squirely with it on, honestly.
And so with that, he says, that is fitting of a young squire.
Thank you. She looks at it proudly. I should see if anybody else's weapons need maintaining. How about you, Karen?
Hmm?
Do you need your weapons sharpened, maintained, anything?
My spear's a bit of an odd one. As long as you don't mess with the handle, I'll let you. Just, if you keep it for too long, make sure that it gets a bit of light. Handle's still alive.
She nods, takes the spear, and begins sharpening the point.
Mhm.
All right. The next day, Sam, by which I mean Beldir,
Oh.
Beldir and Dobe make their way into the courtyard of the central court and find the office of Pasha. When I say office, this is not a place with a desk and perhaps a bookshelf. Rather, it is a very small living space. But looking how most of these people seem to live, there isn't a lot of need for a huge living space. There is a bed. There are a few weapons, javelins, a spear, a wicker shield. and a few other personal things. You already know this because there is not a proper door to it, and it is really just covered by a cloth. You walked in not necessarily knowing that this was his living quarters, but he doesn't seem to be disturbed either.
Oh.
Hmm.
Well, pardon us. I did not mean to just barge in like this.
He looks you up and down, his red face paint running slightly towards the edge where it cuts off on the bottom half of his face. No need for apologies, Wingless. What do you need?
Well, the scale of Codin seems to indicate that it's almost as if these orcs know where to strike, as if they have an insider in their midst.
And we simply wanted to know if you knew of anyone who would be closely tied to them.
Well, no one makes any contact with those savages, I'm afraid. Anyone who meets them either escapes or they die. Doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground.
I do not think that it seems a little too coincidental that they happen to attack when, as if they knew the guards.
I don't know what you mean.
Okay, this might be Van's mistake. Did I understand someone as to saying it seemed like the attacks were made in places that weren't as heavily guarded, like they seem to know?
Yeah, they were places where patrols had not been sent.
Okay. So then he'll just reassert himself, I guess. Well, if I understand correctly, the ogres seem to attack places where the guards are not sent. And if this is happening with such accuracy, perhaps there is someone who has some means of communicating with them. Maybe there would be a way to flush them out by giving them some wrong information.
I'm afraid I don't follow you. Yes, they go where nobody knows they're going, but
Well, either the ogres are exhibiting higher than usual tactical instincts by attacking places without guards, or they are being led in this by some other means. What is your opinion of this?
they are lucky, I suppose.
How many times have they been lucky?
Well, this latest one has been the 10th.
10 times. To get lucky 10 times seems a bit far-fetched. I draw the line past 4.
Who is around when you place the guards where they are going to meet?
Nobody. I simply tell the leader of each patrol where to go, and he goes there. Then he comes back.
And is there anyone who would see this information or see them dispatching their troops and be able to tell I guess who was where?
Anybody in the center court can see me give the order, I suppose.
And how many people are usually in the center court?
Look around for yourself. You roll back the cloth and you see that the main keep where you met King Nayrock is guarded by a few guards, and then there are guards all around the outer wall of the center court. And that there is several people just going to and fro with their business.
Are they within a range where they might be able to see us, or I mean, hear us?
A couple of them are.
Okay, I'm going to be a little more concerned with how loudly I speak then. So more quietly, Dobe says, "What if everyone in the center court thinks you are sending every guard to a different place than you are sending them? And so the places they think are not guarded are guarded, and the places they think are not."
I'm confused. Are you saying I should send them to a different place than I send them?
I think what he's trying to get at is you tell all the guards to go and guard their routes or their places, but then have them come back and give them the orders anew, so that anybody who isn't the direct guards or people in that area, to help try to figure out if it's a more of a higher up problem rather than somebody just listening in. I think is what you're trying to get at, Dope, correct?
Yes. Say there's someone in the center court who is playing traitor with the ogres. If they hear the wrong information and pass it on, then the ogres attack a guarded place. This might give an indication of a traitor in the midst. Maybe you can give each of your guards a written instruction that says something other than what you say out loud.
You're saying there's a traitor?
If the ogres are right 10 out of 10 times, it seems uncanny, does it not?
Do you really think they're that smart?
If I would say there was a traitor, I would say it was some wingless outsider such as yourselves.
Well, don't tell me where the gods are. I am just here to try to kill some ogres.
We're here to stop these incredibly intelligent orcs.
Oh, orcs, yes.
Well, and ogres, apparently. Giants.
Hmm. So you would have me tell my patrols to go someplace and then tell them to go someplace else? I'm still confused on what this plan would be precisely.
In short, you verbally tell them to go to place A and perhaps give them a note saying you were to actually go to place B. So anybody that is listening in would tell the orcs the wrong information, or anybody who is given the information themselves to tell the orcs. And if the orcs go to the correct place, where it isn't guarded, Then we can determine the traitor.
He blinks a couple of times. Most of our people cannot read.
Well, then I guess you're just going to have to tell them to come back and meet you in private. Tell them to go off to someplace and see me later on tonight. I have some information to give you regarding your post. In that one-on-one time, tell them to go to another place.
Roll persuasion.
Okay.
Can I help?
Sure, you can both roll persuasion.
That is a 3 from Beldir.
A 2 from Dove.
Come on.
Okay, diplomacy is for someone else.
He looks at you both up and down. I don't trust this plan of yours, outsiders. Now please leave me to my work.
Well, if you don't trust the outsiders, then how do you expect to get this issue dealt with?
The issue is outsiders. The orcs are outsiders just as much as you are.
Then why not have the outsiders deal with the outsiders, not harming the citizens?
I am quite happy
Huffing
with
them.
the outsiders dealing with the outsiders, but that doesn't mean I'm going to let the outsiders make me deal with the outsiders.
Very well.
I am sorry, friend, that you feel this way. And with that, he just turns to leave.
Okay. Beldir, are you leaving as well?
Yeah.
All right, the two of you step outside and begin moving back off this spiraled hill into the city.
Well, that didn't go anywhere near as close to as what I planned.
Hamish will return to the grove at first light.
Okay.
Is the same keeper there?
As you enter in, it is a different keeper. This one clearly lower rank than the Shada, but she waves you through. Today, you see that neither of the witch doctors are here, and it is just the supplicants and the grove keepers today.
On the way in, Hamish will stop by the keeper and say, thank you for allowing me to enter the grove again today, and forgive me for not knowing your ways. But would it be unbecoming for me to touch the tree, or do I need to remain at a respectful distance?
She looks uncomfortable. You probably shouldn't touch it unless you're given the Shada's permission, and she won't be here for most of the day.
I see. Well, thank you very much. And Hamish will again meditate in front of the tree, keeping his consciousness open for any type of guidance or message Same thing as yesterday without needing to cast the detect magic.
All right.
And that's it. Whenever he's told to leave at the end of the day, he'll go.
All right.
DJ, real quick before we move away from Hamish and the Grove,
Mhm.
I meant to ask, are there animals in there too? Birds, squirrels, that kind of thing?
Besides the insects, there are no squirrels, but you do see birds fluttering from branch to branch.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Yep. All right. There still is currently no orc plan. Anybody want to try to come up with an orc plan during the downtime?
Do you pronounce the chief Oilike?
Ulike is,
Ulikay.
yeah, he is the chief of the.
The police, I think it was, or like the.
No, he's there are several different chiefs in the Confederation, and Ulike is the chief of the Short Feathers.
And he was over Pasha.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
that much.
Does he live here in the town?
Yes, it when they spoke to Scale of Coden, he indicated to him that all of the chiefs were within the keep in the center court, seated below King Nayrock.
And Beldir and Dobe did come up with a plan. It didn't work. Oh,
I mean, you can
Thank
still
you for that correction, by the way.
So now, do we know the location of the orc tribe?
You do not. You just know that it's been attacking various villages in the area.
Okay. Then
Do we know how often they've been attacking?
No, you do not.
but we do know it's been about 10 times, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hamish will on the third day, before he goes back to the Grove, he will go out into the woods, the standard woods, and
Okay.
pull out or before he leaves the town, he'll gather like a small batch of grain, just like a handful or something like that, and go out into the woods and look to where there are go deep enough into where he's going to see some, a good chance of there being some critters around, squirrels, raccoons, birds, anything like that. And he is going to sit cross-legged on the ground and meditate for a while, and then begin to, if he sees a certain animal, a bird, then he'll begin to attempt to emulate its whistle and work on that for a while. And he will hold the grain out in his hand and, as a ritual, cast Speak with Animals.
Nice. All right.
Eventually,
any old bird work?
Any old bird.
Okay. Eventually, a crow flies down from the trees and begins pecking at the grain. It caws in your direction as you begin to cast the ritual.
Okay.
And as it finishes, you are able to speak to it. It continues pecking.
Crow, wise dark feather, thank you for accepting my hospitality.
Looks up at you, cocks its head. Human! Human!
Not like most. I mean you no harm. I need some information, and a wise and observant master of the forest such as yourself, I would assume, would be able to help me. If you will, of course.
Help! Help!
Yes, please. I know that you recognize a human when you see them, but we have heard of other creatures like humans, but different, larger, much more violent. Predators upset the balance and kill more than they eat and destroy the woods for no reason. Have you seen them?
Greenskins! Grayskins!
Greenskins and grayskins, yes, of course.
Pecks at the grain a little bit more and then looks back up. I've seen they move.
Do you know where they make camp, where their nest is?
They move their nest. The nest is not always in the same place. It keeps saying this in between beaks full of grain.
Darkfeather, you are a powerful ally. I hope that I can count on you, because I must ask a small favor.
It cocks its head.
I have... hold on just for a second. Do we have corn here?
It might not be within your specific own supplies, but you do know that corn is the most common crop of Mendria. You're going to be able to find it somewhere.
Darkfeather, I need a favor that I know that you can easily accomplish, but it will mean much to me and my friends. In a few days, we will attempt to find the greenskins and grayskins. If you could guide us to their camp, then I can bring corn to you instead of this ample grain.
It begins to flap its feathers excitedly and sort of bounce. Corn! Corn! Find nest!
Please,
Lots of corn!
Lots of corn. Please watch the greenskins. Stay where they keep an eye on them where they go. Sorry. Keep an eye on where they go, and when the time is right, will you lead us there?
For corn!
For corn. May we speak again tomorrow, Darkfeather, in the morning.
It nods its head vigorously.
Please tell me what you can tomorrow, and whenever the time is right, I'll ask you to lead us there. And I will let him finish the grain in my hand.
He finishes the grain and then takes flight excitedly. Caw! 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 As it begins to go off into the distance.
Okay. Hamish will get up and walk back to the village.
All right. You make your way back over to Corico. Anybody else? All right.
So that evening, as we're all, I assume, meeting together to have the evening meal, So I think I may have discovered a way to track down the orcs today.
A few people look at you, definitely interested. Boudica stops eating. I hope it's something good. I can't find anything. Nobody knows a thing.
Well, I'll know more tomorrow, but I've enlisted the aid of an able scout, and he is going to find out where the location is now. He has seen them before, but he says that the camp moves, and so hopefully he will be able to track them down. And when we're ready to strike, he'll be able to lead us there.
Well, let's hope it pans out, says Aaron.
I hope to have good news in the morning.
I hope so. I'm tired of dead ends. Anybody else have any luck?
Well, you can't say we had luck, but Bildy and I found that the Pasha is not going to go along with any plans we come up with. We presented him with a perfectly acceptable approach to what is coming, and he did not take it.
Whifford says, "Oh yeah, I talked to that guy. He doesn't really seem like the sharpest knife in the drawer."
Yes. Perhaps we go to Ulake.
The local Minjari, they don't seem to appreciate our presence here. I spent some time in the grove, and most simply gave me some odd looks, but the witch doctor there, he was not happy at all.
They seem to have a strong hate for outsiders.
Did you happen to run into Koreshad?
Ashada, what is that? Who you mean?
No, Koreshad. She is named the voice of this place.
The witch doctor.
Yes.
She did not offer me her name, but it seemed that she was. It seemed like that must have been her.
I do not envy you in this.
I don't really trust her, says Aaron. I mean, I know they're evil, but there's something in that one in particular.
Well, she doesn't trust us either.
It might be wise to avoid her. I don't see any reason to get in a scrap with the witch doctors while we're here. Unless we want that bounty, of course.
My interest is not in the bounty at the moment.
He looks at you quizzically.
The tree that they revere just outside of the village, it is a source of some powerful magic. I don't know if the Mindrari have infused it with magic or if it is a source. But the witch doctors, they draw magic from it, it seems.
Whifford rubs his chin for a moment, thinking. those holy relics, this religion that the Mendrari have there, it's nonsense really, but there is some magic in those trees from what I've read. Perhaps they're using them in some way.
It could very well make sense how they're taking people's shadows.
I do not know, but I have spent some time, 2 full days there meditating, and the tree itself does not seem evil.
The trees would not be good or evil. They're just there. Just depends on how people use them. And if you use them, if you use them with it, good or evil. He looks it up. He looks back at him. Whatever I choose. All right. All right. The day passes, and if nobody has anything for the interim, we can move to Hamish back in the woods.
This time I'll bring some grain with some corn mixed in. Just a taste.
All right.
And, again, I will go back out to the same area. Sit there on the ground with the grain and the corn in my hand, and wait for our scout.
Okay.
And I will slowly begin to. Is there any sign of him?
All right. So as you wait a little bit, a crow flutters down from the treetops, and then a second, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. 5 crows land in front of you, cawing in your direction.
Seems like I'm going to need more corn.
Caw, 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 caw!
I will begin to call back and begin to ritual cast Speak with Animals again.
All right. As you go and begin this process, the sound of their calling slowly changes to an understandable language. Caw, caw, corn, 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 corn. They all continue yelling corn at you.
Dark Feathers, welcome. Thank you for granting me an audience.
Where corn?
I did not know there would be so many of you. Do I recognize the one that I spoke with yesterday?
Yes, it appears to be the leader.
Okay. Had I known that you were all going to be here, I would have definitely brought more. But for now, this is what I have, and you are welcome to it.
As you open your hand, the 5 crows greedily begin pecking, trying to get as much as they can. It
I'll
isn't
try
long
not to
before-
bleed too much.
It does hurt a little bit, but it never breaks skin. And it's not long before it's all gone.
Have you found the gray skins and the green skins?
The lead one says, "Found their nest!"
I knew you would. I could tell this was your forest.
They aren't. Sorry, go ahead.
Is the nest large? Are there many gray skins and green skins there?
Hundreds! Hundreds!
A large flock.
Big flock!
I see. So, should I expect more dark feathers tomorrow?
Corn! Corn! Corn!
Very well, I will bring some corn. But how much should I bring? Do you
Lots
have
of corn! Lots of
have
corn!
more friends and family, or will this be all?
They continue just saying, lots of corn, lots of
I
corn.
understand, yeah.
And one adds, Greenskins are nest stealers! Nest stealers!
Nest stealers. What do you mean by that?
Stole Birdman's nest!
Birdman.
The Birdman!
See. And where have the birdmen gone since their nest has been stolen?
Dead! Dead! Dead!
Did no one survive?
They look at each other. After no answer is forthcoming. Corn! 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 Corn!
I'm just going to let you say corn for the next half hour. No, thank you. You are indeed able scouts, and tomorrow I will bring corn, much corn. Your assistance has been most valuable, and thank you for once again. Thank you for allowing me audience. And Hamish will rise and walk back to he'll go back to the grove from where he is.
The crows begin to fly off, still shouting corn as your spell ends, and it transforms back into cause.
I'll smile a little bit walking back.
Anybody else do anything today?
Not really.
All right.
I have one thing. So there isn't much here for trades. Wares is my understanding. It's not like a super big town, right?
Right. There is a few trader stands that the flotilla has set up around on the edge, but they don't seem to be what you would normally expect. They are just stands rather than stores, and they don't deal in coin, seeing as most of the Mindrari here don't bother with it. So they're true traders in that sense.
Okay. I guess never mind.
All right.
So as Hamish goes into the center grove, the keeper there, is it Ashada or is it another one?
Today would be Ashada.
Ashada, good morning.
Oh, good morning to you.
Tell me, it's common knowledge that there are raiding bands of orcs that have been harassing your village quite some time. Do you know, was there another village that may have been wiped out by them?
Well, Koriko is not so much a village as it is a military encampment, honestly. There have been all sorts of villages that have been destroyed by the orcs. Little to no survivors.
Ah, I see. I see. I'm sorry to hear that. But they are vicious creatures.
Indeed.
I wonder.
We've heard that you all have been searching to end whatever this foolishness they're doing is.
That is why I initially came here, yes.
Well, we've treated many of the survivors of their raids here in the Grove. I mean, we truly wish you the best.
Thank you. I would like to ask you, I had spoken to the other keeper yesterday, but she did not seem to feel like she had the authority. But would it be inappropriate for me to approach the tree and place my hands on it?
She looks troubled for a moment. What you're asking for is a sacred right. It has never been within my lifetime that a wingless has touched the noble tree.
I only ask because when I was here the first time, the experience was quite humbling and intense, and I felt that the tree was trying to communicate something to me, but I just couldn't quite understand what it was trying to say.
Roll persuasion.
Just before I do that, I will touch my hand to my forehead and say, Mother Mindria, guide me. Good to remember that every once in a while.
Mhm.
Persuasion?
Yes.
Should I roll that d4?
You can if you'd like to.
No, that's okay.
Mother Mendria was not willing to guide you. I'm sorry, but I don't believe I can allow you to do so. It would be too controversial, and things seem to be fragile with the Grove right now. Perhaps another time.
Of course. I definitely don't want anything to. I don't want to cause any controversy here. I'm simply here to learn. Would it be okay for me to pray here again today?
Of course, yes.
Thank you. And Hamish will go stand apart from the other Mindrians and assume the meditating position and stay there for as long as they let him.
All right.
Question: do I feel any sort of another touch like we did on the first day?
Once again, no. And the people who are here are very much the same as they were on the second day. Just the Grove Keepers and military supplicants.
Okay. Good to know. Since I'm here, I will begin to pray again and go ahead and ritual cast Detect Magic.
Okay. As you cast Detect Magic, once again, the tree lights up.
Does the aura look the same as before?
Yes.
And do I detect any school of magic
Let's see here.
that I would recognize?
Yeah. You detect abjuration, divination, and something else you can't quite tell, but there's something else more to it as well.
Abjuration. Divination. Okay. Anything that have I ever felt that sensation before? in communing with other parts of nature, or is it completely?
No, this is unique.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Alright.
And any magic anywhere else?
Nope, just on the tree.
Okay. That's it. That's all I'll do.
All right. At this point, I see no reason for us not to go out of downtime. And we will be coming out of downtime a week from when you started it. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to do with the downtime?
Barter for a lot of corn.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. So you do see corn stands, but of course nobody's taking coin. You might be able to trade something, or you might be able to get some for coin, but at higher prices than normal.
Okay.
Would you like to trade something, or would you like to just pay more expensive?
Um,
And how much corn are we talking?
not a ridiculous amount, but I need to keep them going for a little while. I'm trying to think. Speaking to is there basically like one guy that has it that's for sale, or are there multiple people?
There are definitely multiple people. That's one of the highest, most common things you'll see around is corn.
Okay.
There are some
would-
flotilla traders, some Mindrari traders, even a couple pirate traders are selling their corn, although they don't look to be the most reputable.
The first thing that I would do, because I don't really have much to trade, is try to offer some type of service, or ask them if they're interested in some type of fish or meat that I could hunt over the next couple of days, if they would trade for that.
A couple of Mindrari traders seem interested in trading for fish or meat.
Okay. Then that's what I would do, because one of my Outlander feats, I guess, or features, is that I can provide food for up to 5 people from a day's hunting. So
All
I
right.
would need to hunt or fish, for one of those days.
Sure. You go ahead and you manage to find and kill a hare, and you fish and get 2 trout.
Okay. Do I feel like that's enough to trade for a sufficient amount of corn?
Yep. From the way you had discussed with the traders before, this seems like you could get a few bits of corn. And when you return to Corico, the trader offers you 15 ears of corn for your meat.
Okay. All right. That sounds good to me.
All right.
Siki is going to spend part of her downtime just kind of hanging out with and keeping an eye over Alifair.
Okay. Alifair spends a lot of her time busying herself around the camp. She polishing armor and weapons, sharpening weapons when necessary, all sorts of that, whatever squirely work she can find, feeding horses. You think to yourself that this really isn't how a proper squire is supposed to work, but none of you are proper knights, so you don't get too offended by it.
Okay. Yeah, at some point I'll take her aside and I'll so at one point she picked up a dagger at one of the places we went.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask her if she wants me to teach her how to use that thing, so that if we get into a scrap, that she's not, too worried.
Of course, yes, please. She seems really excited. She quickly moves to her small tent, one-person tent, roots around in there for a bit before getting the dagger.
Yeah, so I'll spend some time just, teaching her how to handle the blade with respect and some of the techniques of getting closer or staying further away.
Roll perception.
Ideally, telling her to stay further away. Perception, huh? Oh, that's a nat 1.
Have we rolled anything double digits? Oh, I created one time.
Yeah. She, as you are teaching her how to properly use this, you didn't notice that her grip was a little bit off and that she had her index finger on the guard.
Mm-hmm.
And when she does a stabbing motion at one point, the blade stops, but her hand continues forward just a little bit, giving her a cut on her finger. Ah! She says as blood runs down her finger and drops into the ground. She immediately sticks it in her mouth and then looks at it.
Good thing it'll heal.
Yes, of course. Ah! She blows on it.
At least you know your blade's sharp. Sikia will kind of be like, we're done for today, but
I sharpen it every day.
you might not need to do that much, but I guess it's the thought that counts.
She nods. Thank you for teaching me.
Of course.
It's it's very generous of you to help me. Not a lot of people seem to want to.
Can I tell you a secret?
Sure.
I look around and see who else is at camp and kind of very showmanly kind of motion her over. When she gets close, I'm going to lean in and just whisper in her ear, us loners have to take care of each other.
She smiles. Yes, of course.
Well, be careful with that thing.
She carefully slides it back into the sheath and then returns busying herself with whatever quote-unquote squirely work she can get. All right. Anybody doing anything else with the downtime?
Karen is going to spend the downtime helping Sikia learn how to use that snazzy bow that she got from the duelist.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And as a note, at this point she has become proficient with it, but that doesn't mean there isn't room to improve. Making sure to leave it out in the sun whenever you can and whatnot. You are getting pretty good with the bow. The arrow, it's definitely different than a crossbow. You've noticed that with the crossbow, it's basically about aiming and making sure you're steady. But with a recurve bow like this, it's a lot more about feeling and rhythm. But you start to get that feeling and rhythm. Also during the week, at one point, Erin comes back to camp with a few pieces of paper. He slams it on a nearby stump, which has been acting as a table for you all. And he says, "Look what I managed to find. Taking a closer look, you see that it is a copy. You see that it is a copy of the Bracian Messenger. They even get to the newspaper out to him all the way out here.
The post service is pretty good.
Flotilla's good at getting their message out, that's for sure.
Ah, Half Hand. They talked about you.
Dobe, you, of course, cannot read the newspaper because it is not printed in Terranid.
Yes, Dobe would look to see if there's someone who's that might be open, hearing more, and he's going to try to find someone to read out loud. He might see if Alifair would. He's showing interest in the paper.
Alifair is eager to help. After having the article pointed out to her, she reads, the article says Triak Heish sentenced. After a quick trial presided by Finn of Uick, Triak Heish was found guilty of 3 counts of murder. The merciful judge took pity on the man as each case was done in consensual duels. As a result, Heish's death sentence was reduced to a sentence of 1 month on Forgiveness Island. Authorities are asking the populace for any information on potential accomplice, an elf known as Half Hand.
Interesting. And Dope half grins and says, "There's also an elf with the same nickname as me."
Hamish will look over someone's shoulder and read the papers. And when did we become known as the Knights of the Stitches?
Aaron looks over the article. We don't. That's an order from Confluence. Appears that we're not the only ones after them, although I haven't seen anything of knights here.
So, someone else may be wanting to take our bounty.
But read at the bottom. It says, Grand Navigator Cadamon has pledged double the reward money as a donation to the Order's headquarters upon their safe return. Interesting.
Boudica spits. Flotilla propaganda. I'm sure it was some sort of deal they struck. Generous donation.
The knights offered to destroy the menace for free.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And I'm sure they wouldn't be anyone near here if he hadn't doubled the reward for him.
I have a
look
feeling
there.
we won't get the same price.
You're right, but look there. There's an interesting detail. It says that he's going to double the reward money upon their safe return. It doesn't say successful return.
Huh.
Interesting.
Well, anyway, eventually people get back to their own business. Anybody up to anything else?
The only thing that I would say, DJ, is that Hamish would go to the Grove as often as he could, and if the witch doctors are there, then he would do another where he's casting detect magic and then seeing if he can make a connection with the tree, and if the same types of energies appeared that they appeared the first time, if they're there ever.
They are there a couple of times, but each time you enter, they angrily leave. You don't have enough time to cast a detect magic spell.
Okay. And
All right.
I'll just tag along with the little crow every day and just give them a little bit, mixing in grain and corn. Just stealing the grain from our stores, I guess.
And sure enough, you're able to do so. The week comes to an end, which puts us a week from what was the current date. So May, this is the 57th of Second Reign.
Cool.
You all have completed a long rest at this point as well.
Woohoo!
Thank goodness.
Remind me, your months are 90 days long, right? Not 60?
Yes, usually they're 90 days long.
Okay.
It is worth noting that Second Reign is actually a little bit longer than that, but the other three are 90 days.
Okay.
All right. So, the day eventually comes, and there is an agreement made among the group. A few of the members seem to think that there is a promising lead of a nearby Auric raid. Hearing Hamish's plan, they are unsure, and eventually the group decides to split. Erin, Whifford, Boudica, and Gev all go on in that direction, with the remaining members going with Hamish. The only one who is left uncertain is Alifair. Erin is unsure and asks the group what they think ought to be done.
Wait, so I'm confused. We're splitting up and part of the group's going to go do...
Go follow a rumor of Orogs being seen elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
And the other bit going with Hamish on his scouting plan.
Well, our mission is going to be extremely dangerous. I do not know if we can ensure the safety of the young squire, but she is not my squire.
Unfortunately, our mission is dangerous too. It doesn't seem safe to leave her by herself.
No, the Mandrari here, they're not too happy about the wingless in their midst. I would feel for her welfare here.
I would much rather that she goes with Boudica.
Well, I suppose it's best if you come with us, Alifair, says Boudica. If that's what everybody thinks, I suppose that's the best idea. Come, Alifair. Oh, we're going to have so much fun, Alifair, says Gev. And he gives a winning smile. And the party eventually splits, with half of them following Hamish. Hamish, you go to the same spot you usually do. What would you like to do?
I have been considering what I've learned from my scouts, and from what I've been told, their camp is rather large, and perhaps it would be best if I could have the scouts alert us to the presence of when one of their scouting parties or patrols leaves out, and perhaps we could attempt to intercept them instead of infiltrating the camp.
If we think that they are getting insider information from this town, Korko, perhaps it'd be best to hide nearby, watch who comes and leaves from their camp, nest, whatever. See if anyone seems to frequent from the town to the camp. That was how we could find our rat, yes?
Yes, that could very well do.
Or at least we could wipe out the patrol and capture one to possibly get some information. Either way.
As long as we are confident we could do it without them raising the alarm.
Well, the raids are going to range far from their camp. So I think that we would be, as long as we can make sure that one doesn't slip away. Yes, you're right. So, and I'm pretty sure that Hamish has never told anyone that they're crows that he's been talking to, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All of you are waiting for these scouts to show up.
Okay, so
Where do you find the money to hire these things, guys?
I had no idea you were so well connected.
yes, well, we are all connected. Wait here, please. They're a bit suspicious of newcomers. And Hamish will walk about 30 feet away from the main group there and have a seat, hold out his offering, and whenever he sees the crows begin to approach, he'll start the ritual.
All right. You all watch as he bizarrely just starts holding out grain and corn in his hand. And then you hear off in the distance a single, "Ah! Ah!" It's answered by another call. And soon a crow lands near Hamish. And in a second, a third and a fourth. They continue to land until about 24 crows in all have landed, all trying to get their bits of the grain. Caw, caw, caw! Eventually, Hamish, you complete your spell, and the caw slowly changes over to corn. However, for everybody else, it's still all just caw, caw, caw.
Okay. I will quietly say, Darkfeather, I need to ask your favor once again. You have done so well as a scout in making sure that the grayskins and greenskins are kept watch in your forest. But now my companions and I, we wish to capture part of their flock. So, if you could please have part of your flock watch, and when they leave, come to where I'm making my nest now, at the I'll motion to where the village is. And when you see a small group of the greenskins separate from the larger ones, please come fetch me from there and my companions and I, and lead us to where this patrol is.
And just for clarification, when you say the village, you meant Corico, right?
Yes, Corco.
Okay.
Keep calling it village. Sorry.
Yeah,
the camp.
it's okay. Yeah, you guys have your own personal camp outside of the city, although it's definitely not like a haven city or anything like that. It's mostly a military fortress.
Okay, and we're camping outside of the
Yes,
fortress?
you're camping just outside of it.
Okay. But it's close enough to where the crow will be able to find us from there, right?
Yeah, certainly. He can see your camp from there, as a matter of
Okay.
fact.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to express is have his flock follow the patrol and him come get us, and then we'll find out where the flock is and hopefully ambush.
Tilts its head. Karn?
Of course. Always
Karn!
Corn for my most valuable and powerful friends.
It excitedly says corn, as the rest also say corn. This whole time, by the way, the rest of you have been watching Hamish speak.
No, I was very quiet.
Okay, sorry. You've been watching him whisper to the crows, and them only. They all are continuing to caw in response. At this point, the cawing grows into a cacophony, and they all.
I hate you.
You've been holding on to that one for the last
That was
hour and a
pretty
half,
good.
right?
It actually just now came to me. They all fly off in the direction of that's been indicated to you before.
And then Hamish, after they all leave, Hamish will get up, dust off the leftovers of the grains out of my hands, and walk back over to the group. It is done.
Tiki is just kind of looking a little wide-eyed, and then just leans over to Karen and just goes, "I think he's lost it."
I'm thinking you're right.
My scouts will notify us whenever a patrol has left the camp, and then they will lead us to that patrol, and hopefully we'll be able to take them out. Now all we have to do is wait.
Thanks for listening to the Iron Archives. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your generous contributions allow us to continue to make these podcasts. Patrons receive unique content from the world of Mendria, such as art and lore. Thank you for your support.